Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, I'm going to explain a very interesting story with you guys. Be aware, spoilers ahead. In the beginning of our story, when the names and credits appear, we notice some jars with butterflies. Then the name Lisa Jonathan is said, and our main character wakes up. She turns off the radio that was playing a child's voice calling her name. We look around the room until we see her looking out the window. In another scene, Lisa helps her brother Robbie play Pac-Man in the living room, and he gets upset when he loses. She gives him the radio and tells him to stop putting it in her room. He claims that his imaginary friend Edgar did it. Lisa's mom mentions that tomorrow is Lisa's birthday and asks her to do the laundry with cold water. Lisa protests, saying she already did it. Later, Lisa stands near the front door and her dad comes to close it. He advises her not to go out in the fog and mentions that the phones aren't working. He senses something is wrong and asks about it. She tries to reassure him, but she hints that something is strange in her room. She listens to a story while playing her clarinet and then is called downstairs by her parents. They mention that she's been acting oddly and her dad brings up a missing laundry. Lisa doesn't know where the clothes went. She tries to explain her routine to them, saying that she won't go to school or celebrate her 16th birthday tomorrow. Her dad wonders if she's bored with life and her mom gets involved too. Frustrated, Lisa explodes, saying she never understood despite her attempts. She finishes solving a Rubik's Cube and reveals that they're stuck in her house forever. We then see a series of scenes showing the family doing the routines Lisa talked about. They seem happy and Lisa knows they're repeating. When morning arrives, it's clear that Lisa wasn't lying as Robbie repeats the same lines as the radio is to wake her up. She looks out the window again and the fog is still there. Then the laundry conversation downstairs repeats and we see the poor Lisa has to do laundry every day. She's fortunate that the time loop didn't trap her on a school day. That would have been a nightmare. She investigates behind the washing machine and the lid of dryer suddenly closes, frightening her. She leaves the room and answers the ringing landline and it's just static. While playing her clarinet, she hears a ghostly voice call her name and traces the sound of the ventilation shaft. Her mother mentions the missing laundry and Lisa tells her the same response she has been given for who knows how long. It's intriguing to think about how many times she's relived the same day. At night, she lies in bed worrying and notices someone behind her door. Gathering courage, Lisa checks outside her room and the door slams shut as she touches the handle. Terrified, she rushes back to her room. Morning comes and the repetition starts again. This time, she checks behind the washing machine, manages to avoid the dryer's late closing, and covers the hidden door. Although she hasn't opened it yet, she makes progress. While playing the clarinet, she hears something from the ceiling, so she goes back to open the door. She prevents it from closing on her this time. Inside the room, she finds a casket labeled Moving Day on the floor. In the video from 1984, her family stands outside their new house. Her dad mentions it's their new home, and Lisa rewinds the casket to catch a shadowy figure inside the house. Not sure what to do next, Lisa returns to her room and takes out a Ouija board. She asks if something is there, but there's no response. She inquires if the entity is alive, and the toy rocking chair begins to move, landing on her yes. Then the lamp above her goes out, leaving her in the dark. Briefly, Lisa catches a glimpse of someone behind her in the TV reflection, which might be why the screen cracks. This startles her and she runs away in fear. During dinner, her dad starts smoking, which surprises her because it's not part of the routine. Her mom explains that he always smokes after dinner. Later, Lisa observes her dad working on his car, seemingly talking to himself and acting more aggressive. At night, she spots someone behind her door again, and this time the door handle turns and the person enters the room. Lisa hides under her blanket and the ghostly voice speaks to her once more. She questions who it is and what it wants, and after her hand presses against her blanket, she yells for it to leave. Uncovering herself, she finds no one there. The following morning breaks the routine. Robbie's radio message is different, and downstairs, Lisa's dad is confrontational with her mother, accusing her of theft. In the middle of the commotion, the doorbell rings unexpectedly. Lisa urges her mom not to answer, but she does, allowing a man from the phone company inside. The man's presence frightens Lisa, causing her pupil to dilate. As he heads upstairs, he gives her a chilling smile and speaks oddly. In her room, Lisa sees him sitting on her bed, smoking. He asks her how long she's been awake, and she begins to understand that time might not be as it seems. She is desperate to know who he is and what's happening, and the man moves his sunglasses, revealing more about the mystery. The man advises Lisa to ignore any voices and she hears and warns her that the family will suffer if she tries to contract anyone. He puts his sunglasses back on and Lisa's face appears skull-like in the reflection, making the interaction highly uncomfortable. After this unsettling encounter, the man leaves. During the next dinner, Lisa notices her dad isn't smoking and he seems unaware of what she's talking about. These recent changes in the routine unsettle her and she leaves the table to head to the garage. She takes her bike outside despite her father's concerned advice about the thick fog. Ignoring him, she calls out to anyone who might be out there, desperate to escape the madness. Soon she realizes not only is there a time loop, but also a spatial anomaly. Despite riding up in a straight line, she ends up back home. Her dad asks her to come back inside, but she tries to escape again with the same result. In the next scene, Lisa returns to the Ouija board. She apologizes for telling the presence to go away the previous night and wonders if she herself is dead. She speculates that the other man, the strange one who forbids her from contracting others, might be deceased too. Despite his threats, Lisa attempts to communicate him. To do this, she uses the Ouija board. She asks questions but receives no response, which infuriates her, but she yearns for the presence to say something. After this, Lisa returns to her room and is shocked to find another girl sleeping in her bed. The girl appears to be about the same age as Lisa. When Lisa places her hand over the girl's hand, the girl quickly grabs Lisa's hand and calls her name. The room begins to shake and a light flickers. A man's voice from behind the door calls out Olivia, presumably the new girl's name. Olivia tells Lisa to look under the floor, leading Lisa to discover a hole in the floor. As the man breaks into the room, the strange situation suddenly normalizes and Lisa finds herself alone in the room once again. She then loses consciousness. The next morning, the repetition starts again. Lisa pays attention to what Robbie says on the radio to gauge everything. She wants to know if there will be any different. She starts investigating Olivia's instruction and focuses on finding the hole in the floor. Using scissors, Lisa cuts the carpet and uncovers the regular floors with loose planks. Removing the planks, she discovers a hidden book in the hole. Opening the book, she finds the page about a missing girl named Frances Nicholas, dated June 6, 1953. Flipping through the pages, she discovers more pages about missing girls, all dated in the past. Curiously, they're all girls. In the book, Lisa also finds Rusty key and realizes what door it might unlock. The next scene shows her using the key to open a small door and crawling into a room. Fortunately, she doesn't have to crawl for long. Inside, she notices the walls are made of stone, highlighting the stark difference between this room and the rest of the house. Soon, Lisa steps into water and discovers a bottle of poison. She hears another door lock and approaches the vault-like door with a small opening through which she sees a young girl. The girl pleads for help at first, but then bursts into flames, forcing Lisa to flee the terrifying scene. Later, the family enjoys pancakes for breakfast, and then the phone rings, startling them. Lisa's father answers, thinking it's one of her teachers. She hesitantly approaches the phone and realizes the caller is a mystery man. He chastises her for meddling. He claims that it's his house and warns her against opening closed doors. Undaunted, Lisa rhetorically questions what he can do if she's already deceased. In response, he demonstrates his power by revealing a boy sitting on the table, Robbie's former imaginary friend Edgar. He speaks in the mysterious man's voice, asserting they can see only what he allows them to. Time accelerates dramatically as the clock races forward. Lisa's family falls asleep at the table and she rushes to hug Robbie, only to see him turn into a lifeless body. The clock's rapid movement continues, causing her parents to deteriorate into corpses and then to dust. This horrifying sight devastates Lisa and she collapses on the floor, grieving her family's loss and fearing her loneliness. In a surreal turn, her family returns, hugging her tightly, and she's overjoyed to have them back. This serves as a warning of the consequences if she defies the mystery man. Afterwards, Lisa returns to her room, hearing her name whispered. She runs to the ventilation shaft, shouting to be left alone. Although the whispers stop, she hears water running into the bathroom, prompting her to investigate and look at the mirror. She is shocked to see Olivia in the mirror, although Olivia only exists in the reflection, not in reality. When Lisa touches the mirror and Olivia touches her back, Lisa sees to transform into Olivia. As Olivia, she returns to her room to find that it's a version she doesn't recognize. An article details a family of 4 dead due to the carbon monoxide, Lisa's family. As she navigates the unfamiliar house, Olivia's younger sister addresses her as Olivia, while Olivia's mother wonders if she's been sleepwalking. In the garage, Olivia encounters Olivia's dad, who acts angrily. He mirrors her own father's behavior from before. The escalating noise seems to jolt Lisa back to her reality. Her mom explains Lisa likely sleepwalked after waking up in the garage. After her parents console her, Lisa searched for Olivia in her room, attempting to communicate with the girl in the mirror, hoping to return to her world. Instead, Robbie contacts her on the radio, saying Edgar told him she needs to be punished for her behavior. He informs her that they're in the secret cave, and knowing the place he means, Lisa heads to the laundry room. She discovers a small door open and steps inside, searching for Robbie. This time, the vault door is also open, revealing human skeleton remains. Robbie tells her they tricked her, and they're actually in the attic. Edgar claimed they won the game. The menacing man appears and locks Lisa in the room. Panic sets her as she realizes her possible fate is to end up like the bones on the floor. After sitting there for an uncertain period, she finds a ring among the remains, dated 1954. The discovery of the ring seems to trigger the opening of a hatch in the ceiling, her only escape route. Lisa starts climbing through the narrow passage and emerges into the garage. There, she sees a girl slamming a lock on the door with a hammer. When the girl turns around, Lisa notices she's not Olivia, but Frances Nicholas, the first girl the menacing man kidnapped. Lisa wants to know who the man is, but Frances doesn't have the answer. Instead, she describes her kidnapping experience. She woke up restrained in the back seat of a car in the garage, when the engine running and fearing for her life. Frances manages to unlock the door, and Lisa informs her that they're in the same situation, trying to explain what the man does. However, Frances wants Lisa to stay quiet and opens the garage door, hoping to go home. Lisa delivers the harsh news that there is nothing out there for Frances. Time has passed. Frances, still stuck in the night she disappears, doesn't realize it's been decades. Lisa shows her ring she has found, which connects them. She explains that when she touched the ring, the man took her life, and as she places it near Frances, the man's hand pulls Frances out into the fog, closing the garage door behind her. Lisa's mom enters, and Lisa frantically searches for something, eventually finding a bottle of ether. This leads her to believe her father did something terrible. She confronts her mom, accusing her of allowing it to happen, but enraged, she drops the bottle and leaves. Entering Robbie's room, she tells him the truth. They're no longer alive. Robbie accepts this, having realized it after finding his glasses, which he was wearing the night they all died. His acceptance provides some relief for Lisa. Returning to her room, Lisa starts playing her clarinet. Lisa's playing improves to a skill level, transporting her back to Olivia's reality. There, she uses a marker to write on her arm, instructing Olivia to leave the house. Lisa discovers a tablet with a sticky note telling her to play a video. The video reveals that Olivia is in the house in the 2010s. As Olivia is from 1984, she's confused about what a tablet is. After a bit of searching, Lisa correctly guesses to touch the play icon, starting the video where Olivia informs her that the man who lived in the house before Lisa's family, Edgar Mullins. He was a murderer who killed many girls and met his end in 1983. Olivia mentions changes in her parents and shows Lisa a necklace. The necklace helped them connect, similar to how Lisa connected with Francis through her ring. Olivia, speaking as a girl from the future, asks Lisa to help save her family. As Olivia, Lisa goes downstairs and overhears the girl's parents arguing, reminiscing about her own family's arguments. The father transforms into the menacing man, and Lisa tries to warn the mother to leave the kids. This action triggers the man to come after Lisa, prompting her to run outside. Surprisingly, there's no fog outside, it's a clear day. Lisa tries to get help from a man mowing his lawn, but encounters an invisible force. The force holds her back. The menacing man appears and informs her that a ghost cannot leave the house. Lisa then wakes up in her bed, and her mom behind her. Even her mother now realizes they're all deceased. She admits that she was wrong in thinking Lisa hadn't tried to save them. She shows Lisa the missing laundry, the clothes she planned to use to sneak her family out of the house that night. Lisa wants to talk to her father despite her mom's advice against it. In the garage, she confronts him about the spark plugs, suggesting he deliberately lost them because he was the one who was becoming it. She asks him where they are, and he retrieves from a bucket of paint. Lisa takes charge, instructing him to put them back in the engine. They sit in the car and he starts it. Lisa pushes him to remember what happened to them. He admits in a quiet voice that he released ether on all of them and led his family to the garage. Overwhelmed with guilt, he breaks down, but Lisa confronts him, suggesting it wasn't truly him. Someone else got inside him. Her words cause the car's windows to shatter. The whole family gathers in the living room as the house shakes and lights flicker. It feels like a nightmare about to emerge from the floor. The turmoil is a result of all of them being awake. The wall displays a picture of young Edgar with his parents, signaling the deep-rooted horror of the house. When Lisa opens the front door, she sees the intense fog outside. Robbie excitedly runs out and his mother follows to retrieve him. Lisa's family stands there, telling her they can leave. She expresses her love for him after shutting the door on him. Alone in the house, it's neither her nor Olivia's version, it's Edgar's version. The clock stops ticking and Lisa enters the room where she witnesses Edgar applying ether to his parents. The young boy looks at her, telling her to leave his house. She runs as Edgar transforms into an adult form, chasing her. Taking refuge in a room filled with jars of butterflies, symbols of trapped souls, Lisa recalls seeing them at the start of the story. Olivia's dad breaks through the door and the house shifts into Olivia's version. Lisa hides under a bed and continues her exploration. In the laundry room, she finds a small door now blocked by a wall. Undeterred, Lisa uses the crowbar to break through both the wall and the door. Collecting items from the water, Lisa gathers belongings from the deceased girls, aiming to connect with them. Unfortunately, Olivia's dad sneaks up from behind and applies ether on her. She wakes up restrained in a car with Olivia's mom. Spotting a lighter on the floor, Lisa burns the tape around her wrists, freeing herself. She notices Edgar entering the garage with Olivia's younger sister and pretends to be still, restrained and unconscious in the driver's seat. Edgar comments on her persistent and starts the car. Using the tape she removed, Lisa attempts to strangle him from behind. Though he doesn't succeed, she manages to snatch the car keys and escapes into the rain. Edgar joins her outside, declaring her time is up and revealing the extra set of keys. Throwing the keys outside wasn't a victory, and it was just a temporary delay. As Lisa attempts to re-enter the house, Edgar grabs her. However, Francis appears, and her presence makes Edgar release Lisa. Francis points at him judgmentally and lets out a screaming chill, transporting a foggy zone where he's surrounded by swirling black smoke. The girl he victimized over the years emerged from the fog alone with his parents. They all converge on him and he begins to burn behind the wall door. Following this, Olivia's father wakes up outside, confused about what transpired. Lisa assures him that they will return to being a happy family. The scene shifts to Lisa standing before the mirror, telling Olivia to have a good life. Returning to her own reality, Lisa wakes up from something unsettling. Robbie, talking over the radio, repeats his usual line, but the time congratulates her on her birthday. The day was finally here. She goes downstairs and finds a bike waiting for her as a birthday gift. Her mom informs her that they're finally home. Lisa realizes they remember what happened to them. Opening the front door, she sees a bright light shining through and hears her name being whispered. So this brings us to the end of this movie's explanation. 2 lessons that can be learned from this movie are: number 1, confronting the past. The movie teaches us to confront the past, no matter how painful or terrifying it is, necessary for personal growth and closure. Lisa's journey through the cycles of horror in the House of Symbolic, of her facing her fears, uncovering dark truths, and ultimately finding a way to break free from the cycle. This mirrors the idea that in real life, avoiding or suppressing traumatic experiences can hinder personal development, whereas acknowledging and working through them can lead to healing and liberation. Number 2, family bonds and sacrifice. Another lesson from the movie is the strength of family bonds and the sacrifices one is willing to make for loved ones. Lisa's determination to save her family members, even in the face of supernatural terror, highlights the powerful connection between family members. Her willingness to face danger, confront her fears, and even make personal sacrifices to protect her family underscores the idea that love, unity within a family can overcome the most challenging circumstances. So guys, this brings us to the end of the movie. Bye guys.